As I've usually gotten started before, the first thing I forget to do is share my screen, and then halfway through a training, be like, Yuli, were you showing something? So let me do that first. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's make sure that you guys can see my screen, and a nod.
We can see it, Yuli.
Wonderful, Brandon. Thank you so much. That was very, very helpful. So I very much appreciate it. So since now you guys can see my screen, the way we're going to do this is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the back end structure, what needs to be put into place to establish a connection with an integrated title company. So for this piece, we're going to go into the administrative website. This is going to be done by the company administrator, just so we're on the same page. So you will reach out to your company administrator. You're going to go, your company administrator is going to go into service providers. They're going to click on title service, and they're going to click add. They're going to specify the name of the title company. In this case, we're going to be working with Coast to Coast Title. And once they put in the name, they'll click next. It will prompt them for client ID. Some title companies may provide you with a client ID. That is not going to be as important. You would be able to skip that portion, and it could just use the login of the individual for that connection. So you don't necessarily need to have a client ID to be able to get that connection established. So that's part one. The second part to this is located within the user account. So for all the processors out there, they're going to be looking to work with integrated title companies. What you will need to have under your user account is a right 1054 title order. Okay, so that is the right that it will be required to be able to order title within Quantum Reverse, as long as, of course, the company is has an integration with us. All right, so with that said, we already have a loan ready to go, and we're going to start working on that loan. So in this case, I am going to go ahead and open this loan called Michael Brown. Now, with Michael Brown here, what we're going to see is basic information. So the loan is already in processing. We already have a case number ordered. And once the loan goes past origination, so this is the important part, or once the loan hits origination, let me rephrase that. Once the loan is in origination, the title screen shows up. So now if I go to title screen, I'll be able to select Coast to Coast, which I've already selected here. And the way you'll know whether the integration is actually already established or not, if I were to select, let's say, Allegiant or PRC in this case, there's no order button, which means that there is no integration yet in place. But the moment I select Coast to Coast, now we get all this new area. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click the order button. So by clicking the order button, this moves the ordered to in progress. So now what we're waiting for specifically, okay, is a message that would come from Resware with a Resware loan number located right here. And here we go. This is how quick the whole process works. We get the Resware number, and once we get the Resware number populated, which now tells the title company that there's been an order that was placed, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to share this loan with the title company. Now, every time I share various items, and so there's a couple of different things. There's share a loan with a title company, general right access, number right access, and liens and payoffs. And we will talk about these various areas momentarily. So by giving access to the title company we'll then be able to make some adjustments in the file. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and this I have Jess from a title company going to be working with me on this. We will go into the property screen, and Jess will be able to put in some information for legal description as well as brief legal description right within the file. All right. And Jess, I believe that I think you are unmuted. So as you can see, Jess is typing in here and you can see exactly what is happening. So, or is this you, Brandon, doing it?
Yeah, that's me.
I love it. Hey, Brandon. Yeah, that's perfect. So as you can see, Brandon is typing in the information because I gave Brandon the right access. Now, keep in mind, by giving access to the title company does not mean they have access to all the screens and they can change all these various things. That is not the case. They will only be able to change items that are specifically tied to title. So in this case, it would be the legal description. Okay. The next thing is going to be fees. But before we talk about fees, I want to bring up something else. Let's make assumption that we have ordered appraisal. We've received the appraisal. The appraisal has been completed. By the way, it was all done in one day. It's fantastic. I have like the best appraisal company in the world here. And the appraised value came in at $1 million. Okay. So now we have $1 million appraisal here. And when I go into my fee screen, I have Coast to Coast title selected. I can validate my fees. And by validating my fees, it would actually connect to Coast and provide some updated values. Now, by giving the title company, okay, an ability to make changes to title fees. Now, I can be on the phone with Brandon. I say, Brandon, I don't know if this is correct. Can you please go and check and adjust the title fees that are going to be applicable to your company? And then Brandon.
Yeah, if you take a look at line 1102 settlement closing fee, it currently reads 125. We decide that needs to be $225, or this is final figures because of a deed, something we prepared. As you can see, it just updated real time to 225, and this is extremely helpful for final HUDs.
Thank you so much, Brandon. And
My
in
pleasure.
case we don't know who did it, don't worry about it. We have a full trackable history, so we could see who made the change at which point. So in this case, Brandon, thank you for jumping in. Thank you for making that change, making sure my title fees are correct. And I could see that right through the trackable history. Now, the other portion we're going to quickly talk about, okay, is going to be signs and trusts. So that is the next area that we may choose to give access to the title company for. So in this case, Brendan will go in, we'll type in the legal vesting information. He'll be able to select the trust if there is a trust on the loan, and applicable information that will tie to that. And as you can see, I'm not touching anything. The moment that Brandon makes a change because the lender decides that they do want to have that information, to be able to give that ability to the title company to make those changes. As you can see, as he's typing it in, happens right in front of you. Okay. So with that, those are the screens that the title company has access to make changes if the lender decides that they want to give them access. Now, let's go further on this. So the next portion to this is going to be on the right-hand side that we're going to talk about. So in this case, we have a couple of different things. Document sent. So the way that the title company can configure the interface is when we pull our application package, when we pull our redisclosure package, when we pull our closing package, all these various documents that are required by title will immediately be sent to title. Just makes this whole process seamless for the document transfer instead of going outside of the system, sending dozens of emails back and forth. It just automatically gets sent from the documents that were already pulled into the loan that has been configured by the title company. Now, in case I need to resend something, no problem. I want to resend the primary identification. Or in case it wasn't received for whatever reason, I could just click resend. And now we could see the primary ID was resend. I get a full history that it was first auto transferred. And then 6 minutes later, it was resent just because I was bored. But no, in reality, maybe you do need to resend something, and maybe it wasn't received for whatever reason, and that is the purpose. I can also send other documents. I can click send other documents, specify a subject. Let's say, in this case, I need a POA approval, and I'm going to type in a message. Please provide the needed documents for POA approval. And then I'm just going to click send to title company. By doing so, this immediately shows us that we have sent the message to the title company, and the title company then receives all that information right within the Resware system that they'll be working out of. Then documents that are being received. So we try to color code things. I do apologize if you're colorblind though. But the way we have done this is anything that's been sent will show in blue. Anything that's been received will show in green. So I can click on documents received here, and we could see that a title commitment as well as the closing protection letter were both already sent back into the system. Now, if there's something that has not been identified, we can easily go in and identify that document to its appropriate area. So this is a W-9. In this case, I actually don't have an employment record, but if I were to have, let's say, income or an expense that would tie in, I'm just going to say this is going to be part of property charges. Closing protection letter. That sounds good with me. Just click next, and I'm just going to add that as a continuation to the system. All right. So we can see how documents are sent. We can see how documents received. We can filter the text if we're looking for a specific item here. And all this basically populates right within the title search commitment, where once everything is completed, the effective date, the expiration date will automatically populate. Brandon, is there something that you want to add to the section before we go into the payoff order section?
Yeah, no, excellent. Thank you. And excellent demonstration there. The only thing I will add is next to title commitment, you will now see as those documents are uploaded to our system or generated on our end, like Yuli said, they're automatically passed through the title integration, and you can select view and view any document that is applicable within the transaction from title. That's all.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I think we covered it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. So now we get to the next area of of our integration, and that is the payoff order section. So there are two ways to do the payoff order. We can order it by the lender, which, what does that mean by the lender? Well, by the lender means that what you've been doing so far previously, you continue on doing. You can go in here and you can add the payoffs that are tied to the property. Or we can order the payoffs by the title company. So by me clicking order for ordering by the title company, what happens then is the title company receives the order that they are supposed to be ordering the payoffs, and then they will go in and add any payoffs that are tied to the property with the information that is also tied in within for the contact, the balance, the per diem, the good through dates, all that information will just populate based from what the title company provides back into the system. And I think, Jess, I believe you're right now working on that. So we will give that a minute to go through. And sometimes I will refresh just to show how and what information actually populates into this. All right, so we'll just give that a minute while a couple of payoffs are added.
The payoffs are actually added.
They are. Okay, wonderful. So you guys are quick. So we got the lien here. So this was a mortgage lien. All this information was added right into by the title company, and that, of course, tied in. And here we go. Pay approval notification. So now we even got a notification from title that there's a pay approval that was put into the system. We have our payoffs and good through dates. And then if I even go into the loan details screen, we should see the per diem amount, but not yet the good through date or valid until date. That information, I'm guessing, Brendan, that information you populated it later on time, or have you already populated that information in?
Yeah, so I just didn't populate it. I can do it right now. It's just an
Yeah,
example.
go for it,
payoff,
just to show that how it just ties in together from both sides. Here's the good through date. And then Brandon will populate the valid until date. And again, this is just a collaboration between the lender and the title, as you just saw happen right in front of us. Okay. So now that we have the payoff ordered, done by the title company, let's make an assumption that the loan has been underwritten and is now getting ready scheduled to close. So one of the things that we have here is closing scheduled. So what does that mean, closing scheduled? And I'm going to actually let Brandon speak on that. What happens when that box is checked? Brandon, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you all very much. And Colby just asked an excellent question that I answered within the chat, and this kind of pertains to the same thing. So yeah, so our system, our title production software actually speaks to this system. So once you hit the closing scheduled check mark, the box there, what that does is it actually submits or starts an action on our end within our software for our scheduling team to then begin the process of scheduling. So what we typically will do at this point, you would simply click on new message. And for instance, add, borrower would like to close in home at a certain time, date, and that's basically it. From that point, we would handle scheduling, and a confirmation of closing along with signing agent would then pass through the system back to you or your processors. And from also, if you want us to reach out to the borrower at this particular point, please reach out to the borrower's, set a closing date for June 20th. We would then do that from that point. And if we needed any information, just so you all are aware, also our messaging comes through. Messaging is to be considered basically a direct message, or an IM, if you will. No longer emails really needed. All of ours come back as a notification, as you can see, with the property address, borrower information and such at the very top, along with the message in which we need answers for. So hopefully that answered your question, Yuli. And if you need me to touch on anything a little more, I'm happy to.
No. So I think that's perfect. This is, a detailed overview on how the integration works, how simple it is to use. And here we have the title PLA approval. Thank you so much for providing that. I know I needed that for the closing. It automatically populated when we send the message to the title company. In this case, I will go ahead and populate my effective date, which then populates, of course, the expiration date from that effective date. And we're good to go. We're ready to push this thing and start essentially closing it in conjunction with the title company. Well, I am going to stop sharing. So this is about a 20-minute demo training that we wanted to bring up to everyone, and I think there may be some questions. Is there any questions that has not been answered? Please type those questions in. Because we are keeping everybody muted because we do have quite a few people on the call and we don't want everybody to jump in. But if there are any questions, please type any question. We'll be happy to answer it for you. If you don't have any questions, so we, just to let everybody know, as a team, we will be looking into scheduling these trainings either per request or maybe on a monthly basis. So we're trying to still figure out how often we're going to be providing these training classes. But if it is something that you guys want to be trained on as a company, please reach out to myself or send an email to support, and we will schedule the training class. Raina will schedule a training class with you guys. And then Casey asked, will the final docs also be passed through the Quantum once uploaded in title system? So once you guys pull the closing docs in Quantum, the required closing documents that need to go to title will automatically be sent to title company. And then title, Brandon, please correct me if I'm wrong, but any is then required to come from title will then be sent back into Quantum from Resware.
That's correct. So signed closing documents, recorded mortgage, and policy. And again, if it's not something that auto passes through, it can be sent through the new messaging. Just like an email attachment, if you will, you're able to attach any document and send to us through that.
Absolutely.
I have a quick question. This is Grace.
Hi, Grace.
Hi, Grace. Yes.
Hi. Thank you for this presentation. A quick question I have on the messaging system. Will the messages, do we have to be in the file to know that a message came through? Or will there be like any other notification to let us know, like, hey, you have a new message in your Michael Brown?
So you don't need to be in a loan. You could just literally be on your dashboard, and you can be subscribed to notifications for various items, which, by the way, I am so happy you brought this up because that is one thing I skipped at an early on stage. So let me address this. Under the user account of the individual user, under notification subscriptions and event notifications, here we can define when title documents are received to get notified, as well as when title messages are received to get notified. So in this case, I said that I want to be notified while the loan is in various status. So in this case, I've indicated from origination all the way to funding, and for both documents received as well as messages received. As a processor, it's only going to be reading my loans. But as a company manager, you may want to see the communication that occurs between multiple loans that are where you have the title integration, where you can select my company loans, and then you will receive messaging from any integrations that are done with title companies on the type of documents that are being sent back and forth, as well as messages that are being received. Grace, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
It is my pleasure. Anyone else, folks? Any other questions?
And just to add to that on the notifications, really quickly, Yuli, I'll be quick, I promise. Yeah. Under the notifications, if you click on notifications, you will see at the very top of that the borrower's
you're talking
name
about
is
here.
Yeah. As the borrower's name as well as the loan number on any applicable file, anything that's sent from our through our integration to Quantum Reverse.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you can also click on it, and it will take you right into that loan. So it just makes it even easier from that point. It's just literally click of one button, takes you right to the file where this notification came from. You can review it at that point, and go from there.
Yuli, when are the title fees getting updated? For example, if we're ordering title prior to having our appraisal, and then our appraisal comes in and it's at a different value than what we had estimated, how do those title fees
Mhm.
get updated? Like, is there what causes that to happen?
That's a great question. So it could happen two different ways, right? So when the appraised value comes in at, let's say, higher or lower or somewhere in between, you can either click validate fees and we will connect to coast or to your title company to pull in the subset of fees that is being recommended by that title company. So in this case, we disclosed the G550, the original was 225, and it gives us a suggested value. I'm just going to keep the GFE one
But
in this case. Um, or you can give the title company an ability to number right access, okay? And then you can work directly with a title company to go in and update those fees with title directly.
I guess my question
I
is,
hope
how
you,
are we going to
yeah.
know they updated it, right? If title can just go in there, I guess we'll get a notification that they updated some fees.
So if title, and this is kind of the big question, when you're working with title and you're giving them the access to the rights access, at that point, maybe a message gets sent out, please go in and update the title fees, and then title would then notify you guys back, we have updated your title fees, and then all of that gets then notified through the notification system.
And just to add to that, once we make that change, you can
Mhm.
also, under numbers right access, uncheck that box. And we no longer will have access at any point to change that information.
It, perfect, Brandon. Yeah, thank you for speaking on that. So yeah, the big thing there is that hoping when you do give the numbers right access, you send a message to the title company saying, "Hey guys, please update the fees." Then once those fees are updated, they will send you the message back. You will get notified, and then you can remove that access as needed. Or maybe you trust your title company and you're like, you know what, you guys can continue on having access. We have no problem with that. So it could go either way. And look, as far as read write access, each lender is going to work a little bit different. You're right. Some lenders are going to allow title companies to update this information. Other lenders may say, you know what, we do not want to give title access to updating title fees. You just need to let us know what those fees are, and we'll make the update ourselves on our end. So it just really comes down to how much control you're open to give to the title company. Dan, does that answer your
Yes,
question?
absolutely.